Hits and Crits. This video is brought to you by Trading Goblin.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Season 4 update. And you already see it. I took the black, right? Big day today. And before we start, Randall is here again.
Howdy.
Great to have you on this one too. So the Season 4 update hit, right? We read the announcement, and everyone was hyped, and I was already looking at the Night's Watch section. We're already afraid. I saw you can lose the vows and everything. So now's the day. We want to discuss it. We have the cards now. I tried it twice now. I played Night's Watch, my main, twice now. Tried the new tactics deck and have some insights for you. And we discussed it with quite a lot of people across the industry, with a lot of veterans, with a lot of newbies, with a lot of beginners, with a lot of people. And now we give you our summary, right? So we will cover the most crucial changes as always. And so I think we will start with combat units. So combat units, the big changes were, the one thing was on the war machines. That was one. The other one was cold hands, obviously, and the fourth one was the watch marshal. So basically, when you look at them, there's that one piece where war machines, there was those stone thrower lists that basically gave everyone a hard time, because they were pretty dull to play and a lot of times really hard for your opponent to play against. And on the other hand, you had cold hands, like that everlasting problem where no one knew why that guy, that solo has 6 attack dice, can retreat and charge again, attack with 6, comes back always as a 3 defense, a 2 morale. It was just a too good solo. Everyone was referring to it as the best solo in the game. So now he got his nerf. Let's discuss that in more depth now. So let's go to the war machines. I think the overall thing is the morale. The morale went from 2 to 5, which is totally fine, like in general. The only thing I do not like about it is it basically puts you there that if you play against someone that can do panic tests on a distance, especially with more wounds like Lannisters, you won't ever play a war machine because you will just lose that 8-point unit quite quickly. So that's the only thing I do not like about it, because it puts it into a niche against only a few units. Opponents and factions. That's the only thing I do not like about it. But in general, the nerf on the morale is totally understandable and it's fair, I think.
I think what do you think? Yeah, I think, like you said, I think they should have always had a morale higher than they did, because at the end of the day, the morale isn't the morale of the wooden construct, it's the morale of the crew. So it should have, it should never have been a 2+ or whatever. But leaving it at a 5+ with no other card text at all to modify any like panic wounds or anything is a problem, and it has to end up being changed, because people aren't going, like you said, people aren't going to run these anymore, because they're going to be afraid of doing like a 360 no scope shot across the map into Lannister guardsmen, and then getting a Lannister supremacy check to death from across the battlefield, which makes absolutely no sense. So you've got that. You'll have like Melisandre bombing them to death, but at least in that case, you've got to be in long range of her now, or long range of the unit that gets popped. But I think Simon doesn't want people to stop buying war machines, and they want people to play war machines. So from kind of a cynical point of view, they're going to have to do something to, like, maybe in the innate ability block, say something like this unit can never suffer more than 2 wounds to a panic test or something.
Yeah, that's what I will. Exactly.
Yeah, because otherwise they have to change a bunch of stuff, like Lannister supremacy. I think Lannister supremacy is one of these things that should have been changed a long time ago to be triggered off of either a long range, like a unit in long range, or like a melee attack or something. But I am very happy to see that the war machines can be actually subject to panic tests now, but I think they fixed one thing, but then created a problem on the other end. So it was like a nerf to the war machines, but nothing to really balance it.
Exactly. Yeah, and even the Lannister's tactics card, base tactics cards, like can trigger across the field somewhere. And now with this 5 morale, they are actually, are not that usable anymore. So not
like
saying
they could drop
it wasn't needed. Yeah, but
like a subjugation of power or something. They could drop a subjugation, right, and then hear me roar off of that to make them potentially take 4 wounds off of a panic test, and
that can be bad. And with the 8-point unit, you know, it's too expensive. So but still, the nerf is understandable, but there needs to be, as you said, some kind of like tweak in future times to make them where they should be. So, but the way more important change was the change on rock volley, right? Rock volley, as for everyone was used to be, even if you do not hit, your opponent got a vicious panic test, right? That's how it used to be, which a lot of people said made no sense, right? No one is hit, and thematically, I was just thinking that big rock is like landing right next to you, and everyone is like scared and like, you know, oh shoot, right? They were throwing big stones. So now they got rid of that, but the stone thrower gained vicious always. So actually, let's say change is for me, it's great. For me, it's a fair thing now. It's a vicious war machine, which pulls out that rank, or 3 or 2 wounds, whatever, how many wounds you have. For now, just on the weapon, I think it's fair. So for 8 points, right? That 8-point unit needs to do something. When you compare that 8-point unit to something like, let's say, Blood Riders now, right? Compare Blood Riders to a stone thrower. Blood Riders are way more badass than a stone thrower in terms of attack power now. So I think the change is fair, and it should stay that way. The only thing I see, as you said, is a tweak on this panic test, or that can only lose 2 maybe, or 1, or I don't know.
I'd say it can never lose more than 2 wounds to a panic test, or 3 if they want to put it there. But I just see the potential for these things getting like nuking themselves off of the table, or getting, you know, 1 bad panic roll and then you lose your 8 points or whatever. But I am very happy to see that rock volley got changed, because like you said, it made absolutely no sense that it would be scarier for a boulder to fly over your head than for a boulder to crush the guy next to you. So I'm happy that got changed. It didn't make any sense. I would have been okay if they just left it like, if it misses, you take a panic test. I wouldn't have minded that, but it was just the modifier to a missed panic test was just nonsensical. But vicious is good. Like you said, it should be scary when a rock falls.
It should be scary. Yeah. And it is the same as the Scorpion, right? The Scorpion also is vicious, so it makes sense. It's thematically correct in my book, so it's fine. Okay, so let's go to Cold Hands. Cold Hands, always topic. Like when you say Night's Watch, you have to say Cold Hands, right? It goes into it comes in one sentence. Cold Hands now lost 1 attack die, lost 1 on morale, and can only come back once. And in short, I think that's a really, really solid, well thought through change. I like it for 5 points.
In the last patch, didn't he gain a die? So did he? He went up a die, and now he's gone back down a die.
Oh, he actually gained 2, I guess. Even I think he gained 2, and he gained even 1+ defense. He still kept the 3 defense. But now I played him twice now, and I see, together with the 3 defense and the Raven Flock, and still those 5 dice, I still think he's really, really good solo for 5 points. He will still be in most of the Night's Watch list, because this Raven Flock in long range, just disrupt on a stick, is just so incredible. It's just great, right? And even like I can't think of a time that of a game where I lost Cold Hands twice.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
No,
I know it's good that they added that, but do you ever see him? Do you see him dying twice? And if he dies twice, do you ever see somebody win a match when he dies twice?
I guess not. I think if you play him correctly, he dies once. He can do what he does. You can play out your thing. You can play the Night's Watch, your normal tactic. If he dies twice, then you are at that point where you might lose eventually. Either way,
yeah, you've given up 2 points.
Exactly. So I think that change is valid, well thought through, and is balanced now. In short.
Yeah, and now he was a 2+ morale before, right?
He had 2. Now he's on 3, which is still really, really good.
It's still really good, but at least it gives somebody hope that they can get that like miracle panic test off on him.
Yeah. So that's all on Cold Hands. I think. I mean, drop it down in the comments below if you think otherwise. But I think now he's still a centerpiece, but he's now he is fair. He does not give out this frustration to your opponent, right? Because I think now he's in a balanced state. Where he was not before. Yeah.
And like you said, his death, like we'll talk about the tactics cards in a minute, but his death won't trigger some of the other problems that there were with the faction anymore.
Yeah, you can still trigger something, but not as like crucial as before or more devastating as before. All right, that's that. Just one sentence on the Watch Marshal. I was hoping when I read the announcement that they moved the Watch Marshal to somewhere more comparable to Cold Hands, but they did not in my book. I mean, this tactical reposition is a great ability. Gaining +1 attack die now that Swords is gone and is still good, but I would not spoiler anything, but we have to talk about the panic tests in the base tactics deck. If they would have given him +1 morale, so embolden basically an embolden bubble in short range, that guy would see play. Now I only see him in like spam lists where and I see a lot of like 8 activations, 9 activation lists, Night's Watch lists now floating around because it works now. It will work again, and John will see a high rise now, I'm pretty sure. Because like earlier you went to Donald, maybe Gior, Alistair saw a lot of play, and John got a little bit on the side, on the bench. Now he comes back with 3 solos, sometimes 2 solos, and that works, right? We'll come to that later when we discuss Sam and Gilly, but that's the thing. If he would have gotten emboldened, then he would see play. And with this failing or losing 1 less wound from failing panic tests, it's fine, but you will always go, in my book, you will always go spend that 1 point more for Cold Hands. So
yeah, and Night's Watch isn't super concerned about panic wounds. They're more concerned, especially now, about just failing a panic test.
Just failing it, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it seems more in theme that a Watch Marshal would be like the experienced leader who would be rallying troops, and keeping them from breaking, not mitigating how many of them die when they break, so it seemed a little bit of a missed opportunity to not give him a morale bubble. That would have definitely shored up some of the weaknesses that people are kind of perceiving in the new Night's Watch deck.
That's that on the units. So the NCUs. We won't cover Craster and Yoren in detail because they got changed, and for me, just in one sentence, both Craster can be a valid option. I think he's worse than before, just from my gut feeling, but to have the tactics board and reduce a token, so to go on Swords and lose the weaken can be good, right? Could be good. So he's not bad, and he's good for a 4-point NCU. But we have to see if he really sees play with all the other NCUs available, especially when you talk Dennis, Donald, Amon, right? It's pretty hard for him. Yeah. He has a hard place. And Yoren, 6 points still. It's hard for Night's Watch to build creative lists anyways. So with Yoren, with 6 points, bringing a conscript unit now faster than before, I do not know if he's really a viable option. Still not know. So that's in short. But what's more important is the Sam Gilly combination, and obviously Corrin. So let's start with Sam and Gilly. Let's do Sam first. Sam and Gilly, even in season 3, were for me a good thing when you said I want way much, or when I want power on the battlefield. Then you took Aemon, Sam, and Gilly for free. Now you can do that in a way better way, because Gilly lost the ability to, or or her ability changed to that she does not die, right? Because now she can activate and just flip. She only loses this health point, or this her life. She only loses her life when she claims a zone. So you can always flip. So you will play her until round 4 or 5, and then trigger her. So then you have her effect even, but you always count as having 3 NCUs all the time, right? You always have 3 NCUs just with a flip, I know, but it's like having 2.5 NCUs, and you can build cool lists on the battlefield. So that's that. And additionally, she also got the ability to basically have a mulligan in the beginning. So you draw up 4 cards with Sam, and you draw a 5th one, shuffle 1 back into the deck. So this everlasting thing, you draw 2, take the black, or 1, take the black in the first round. You can just, you take it, you put it back, and you should have a solid start of the game with your tactics deck with those 4 cards, right? I like it, right? I like it because you need the tactics cards still. That hasn't changed, even though the deck got way worse, but you still need your tactics decks, and you have better options to draw them in. So it's a good option now to just use one like Aemon most of the time, or something else, and then use their combo. That's a good thing.
Yeah, she kind of counts as like a blank NCU. Like she counts as your pass NCU, but she only costs 1 point. So you've got 3 points to beef up another unit with attachments, or upgrade a unit that you're going to maybe take a, like a, a lower cost unit, but now you can take a better unit. And then, like you said, the kind of mulligan, the Roderick Harlaw kind of effect she gives you is great, especially paired with Sam's ability to give you a higher number of tactics cards. So you can kind of fish for those cards early on that you want, maybe some attachment cards that you can just kind of cycle out and put onto your units if they're effects you're not expecting to need immediately. But I think she could potentially be good. It'll be interesting to see what kind of list people make with their because you're getting that like 3 free points basically out of bringing her along. So that'll be interesting.
Yesterday I played a pretty cool 8 activation list with that, because you basically have like those 3, Sam, Gilly, Aemon, and then you have enough points to build 5 good units on the battlefield, right? And so again, I think that will be the most use they see, using just two NCUs and her. But I also see some lists where you have 3 real NCUs plus her, even to have her as a cheap activation on the side, and have the mulligan, and have the bookkeeping ability, basically. So I see both, but I think most players will tend to do the Aemon Sam Gilly combo to really have a beefed up unit in the middle, or 2 actually, having 2 really beefed up units, and Ghost, Cold Hands, whatever. And another 7 points, because you have so much points left then, and that is something that Night's Watch players are not used to. So we will see that definitely. So cool thing, cool change. I like it, right? So the way more important change was on Corrin. So obviously Corrin was too good for 5 points. You can even play him for 6 points. I used to play him for 6 points. He was good then too. So now he got rid of the movement. So now when he influences, he just gives you that +1 attack die. Fair point, I think. On the top, his sacrifice is only canceling charge and attack. So that unit can still activate, that unit can still retreat, move, and march. So basically, that NCU now totally got rid of this frustration factor of shutting something down completely, getting just killed, right? Which is a good change, which should be the case. The only thing, the only criticism on that change, what I see, is I think he's not worth 5 points anymore.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if he is, you go.
Yeah, I mean, and if he's not worth 5 points anymore, that's not such a bad thing. It allows other NCUs to kind of have their time to shine, I think, and have other, you know, I think Corrin was a little bit of a crutch for people. Not that Night's Watch needed a crutch, but and only ever being on the receiving end of Corrin, it was an extremely frustrating experience playing against him.
Obviously,
you literally had no options to do anything. You know, you couldn't move, you couldn't retreat, you couldn't do anything, and so it was just it was just a feel bad kind of mechanic. So I'm good now. You can't attack or charge, okay, but you do have other options. There's other stuff you can do. So the receiving player can actually make some kind of choice, where before the receiving player just basically got his pants pulled down, had to just stand there and have have the Night's Watch player have their way with them, basically.
It's a good thing.
So I'm
really good thing. They changed them, well, highly needed, and we got it. So I did not play Corrin after, like, you know, when he went down to 5, I had, like, I don't know, let's say 4 or 5 games with him, playing him, seeing what he did, and I changed back to Dennis Melister, because Dennis Melister is like my let's say cheaper Corrin, right? And Dennis isn't, for 4 points. He's the thing now. He's the new Corrin. Dennis Melister will be the new Corrin, and especially he's really good, especially with he's basically like Battle Scars on a stick, right? Different, but kind of, right? Where you need it, you can put it, and you get the rerolls, the highest attack that value. You put out tokens. Everything is great with that NCU, especially with this nerf tactics deck we will talk about. So that's that on the NCUs. So they basically moved the NCUs to more of a level, which is great, right? So now there it is, the tactics deck, the vows, right? The
last but not least,
the centerpiece of the Night's Watch, which every brother has to say in front of that Werewolf tree, right? Giving their vows. Let's discuss that.
I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch for this night and all the nights to come.
So in short, or I have to say that before I cover any of those cards, I will say all the changes were needed. All the changes are good for now. The only thing I criticize about the change is that there was no iteration from season 1, 2, 3, nothing. And now the developers basically pulled out the hammer, saying, now we need the change, and they hammered it down with, they put in the triggers, they put in the panic test, and they nerfed some cards or changed the cards to totally different play style. So again, not saying it was needed, saying it was too much at once. That's my perception of the change. Still, I think it's a decent deck now. It's not an OP deck anymore. Obviously, most cards are not as good as they were before, which is a good thing. But that's in summary what happened.
I think change was definitely needed, but even as someone who does not like playing against Night's Watch, when I read the changes, I felt like, I knew this was like painful. It was just
it's tough.
It was like you said, there was no incremental changes. It was just like the Night's Watch deck got marched up and put their head on the block and got
so shut down.
It's rough.
That's a rough thing. So it's really, really tough to do the following. Let's start with Sort in the Darkness. Sort in the Darkness was really got from a S card to an F rated card. It really got down. You don't get your +1 attack die. Now when you attach it, you only go to +1 rank, which is for most units not even needed. I see a place for them in Sworn Brothers, because Sworn Brothers drop from 7 to 5 in second rank. So
and they're like duking it out with their opponent, and they're fluctuating in ranks as the game is going on. So that does help them. But now you can't. There's no point almost in putting it on the Ranger Hunters anymore, right? Because they're usually wanting to stay out of combat or come in and out of combat. So you're not going to have the 9 dice Ranger Hunter attacks or whatever it was before.
Exactly. So with that card, as you see, they also put in the triggers on activation and on melee attack as it used before, just split now. So the split, I would say, when I pull swords, I will just try to do the one-time effect as soon as possible to put out the vulnerable and the panicked and just get rid of it. At least there is a Swarm Brothers unit which needs help, which is down the middle. The Swarm Brothers are down the middle and they need help long term. Then you can do swords. But in general, and for other units, just do the one time and get rid of it. That's the best thing you can do with this card, because it's not worth keeping. It's not worth as it was before. So way worse. Still usable, but totally different. And tend to do the top ability. So that's on swords. Let's do the light that brings the dawn next. The light that brings the dawn is now used to be a melee card, right? Melee card giving you rerolls and giving you highest attack die value long term when you attack people with more ranks. Now it's a centerpiece for the tactics deck. You have this one-time ability of rerolling, which is this one is the other way around. I would say if you draw that card as early as possible, that's your goal. Draw light as soon as possible and attach it as soon as possible, because it gives you the +1 morale and you will need it. Yesterday when I played, one unit of mine lost 2 and 3 vows in 2 rounds because of losing panic tests. And that just sucks, right? And you need the high morale. You tend Night's Watch players all out there, brothers, put out the Werewolf trees, put out light that brings the dawn as early as possible, because you will need it. That's the only way to do your old play style. If you do not, if you use the reroll, the one-time ability, you will regret it later on. So just play light, just play the first ability if you really, really need it. If you need to kill something, let's say, right? If you have a Swarm Brothers engaged and they need the rerolls to finish something off, then do the top effect. Otherwise, just do the long-term effect and buff your 9.8, 7 point units to +1 morale. So they are, best thing would be to be on 3 or 4 morale. That's on light.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It helps you. It's like an insurance policy to keep your other your vows intact. Yeah.
So tend to do the bottom. So now back to fire. Fire just got the split as every card. And now it I would say it's more usable than before. Before that, you lost 2 wounds, -1 for each lost rank, and you can reduce a token. Now you just always lose 1 wound to lose 1 token. I think I can't really rate it. I can't really do an evaluation. I would say it's fair. I would say it's I tend to say it's more usable early in the game and less usable in the end. Which is
now, this card though, do you want to just keep this card in your hand though? Like if you, let's say you have Sam NCUs, so you have 4 cards. Do you just want to keep this in your hand?
You need fire.
Yeah, sorry.
You need fire. No, it's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to explain the bottom effect. The bottom effect is different than before, but you can make use of it early in the game pretty well, way better than before. But in the end game, it's not as usable anymore. So as you said, what you would need to do is just keep it for this one particular panic test for your elite unit where you need it. That's a keeper. Yeah, definitely. the top effect is way better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad you have to clutter your hand to, keep something as a hedge against losing all this value from your other cards that you've attached.
That's true, but that's one of the just one card. I think most cards can play it out really easily because it's only on melee, on activation. So you can put out the cards as easy as you can before. You just have to think about it. What. So that's why I give you or that's why I want to talk about a tendency what to do. So fire is a keeper to have the top effect to reroll your morale when you need it, right? So that's good. So shield and watcher are let's start with shields. Shields is as good as before. That's it. It's as good as before. The only thing is you have to think about, what do I need more? Do I need the rerolls or do I need the +1 shield? I tend to do the vow to do the +1 hit. You block +1 hit, and the best thing you can do is light and shields as soon as possible. Then it's a good thing, and then you have a good chance to have shields quite for some rounds at least, and that's the old Night's Watch play. So still a good
unless
card.
You get I mean, unless you just take a massive hit that your unit won't survive, I would say you want to just have that +1 hit block for as long as you can, and
use the vow.
I was just thinking back about the fire that burns against the cold. If Night's Watch players start hanging on to that card, and everyone knows they start hanging on to that card, and they're emptying their hand pretty much with putting vows on things, and they maybe are keeping that like one card in their hand. It seems like Night's Watch will be vulnerable to discard effects. I'm thinking like Targaryens who have Piat free and Hizdar, who also makes he makes you discard off of your off the top of your deck. But I'd see like Night's Watch potentially being vulnerable to discard mechanics because the other player knows that they might be keeping that pocket fire. Also vulnerable to patch face in Baratheon because players might want to get rid of that card out of your hand to ensure you don't keep your vows. So sorry, I know I jumped back in time a little bit there, but
no, it's fine. It's fine. But that's the thing. You can say in general, you want to buff morale as good as possible. So even if that happens, you might not even need it because you have units running around with 2, 3, and 4 morale, right? So so that's the best thing you can do. That's why play light as soon as possible. Having Warwoods out, that's the best thing you can do. So Watcher on the Wall. Watcher on the Wall as shields, as good as before. Despite, panic tests and triggers, we have to live with that now. But the card is as good as before. I tend to do the bottom, so the vow, to give you +1 movement, and having charge rerolls is big. So definitely try to do the vow. And again, have Warwoods and light out, keeping fire to keep that unit movable, keep them movable and aggressive, right?
Because especially now that Corrin lost the +1 movement. And he might you lost
need
the
it.
+1 movement, so you're gonna need it more to maintain your maneuverability.
Exactly. So now the heal cards, the heal or end game, the destroy quest cards. Let's do Take the Black. Take the Black, as many of you know that know me, Take the Black is my most favorite card. Used to be, and now I would have to say it. I don't know. Maybe it's shields now. So Take the Black is way more usable of the effect because now you can destroy something, heal 4, take the attachment as before. Everything is the same. But I realized it yesterday. It's only on the attacker. And that's different because back in the day, a lot of times I killed something and healed another unit in short range back, which was a lot of times it was Swarm Brothers and Ranger Hunters, Swarm Brothers killing something, healing the Ranger Hunters back, and giving John or whatever, or the Hardened Ranger added Stark on top of it, or Mance Raider, or whatever, and that really was devastating for your opponent. That's how it used to be. So I would say this card is still good, but it only targets the attacker, so you have to be cautious to where to use it, which is a little bit harder to play. But on the other hand, this card is always usable from the start, so you won't have this effect of you draw, take the black, saying, oh, I'm in round 2, I have to drop it as soon as possible because it's not usable. Now it's usable because you will, even if you have your first attack and you kill off a rank and you are on second, you heal 2. So it's always usable, which is a good thing. The only thing I do not like is that it only targets the attacker. So it makes like great combos we used to do. All the brothers out there used to do with this card when they got the opportunity to heal something back, take the attachment. That won't happen as often anymore. But I really appreciate that this card is more usable throughout the game and not only in round 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So still valid card, viable card, more usable, all good. Like it. All right, last one. And Now's Watch is ended. And Now's Watch is ended. Feared, discussed, infamous card, because a lot of players, threw them out like quest cards. Kill Cold Hands up the hill. Just throw him in there. Kill him. Have 2 free attacks or march behind enemy lines. Everything, all that. Not anymore. So now you make your opponent vulnerable, and everyone, and I have to say that again, everyone in long range heals 2. So not a bad card. Not a bad card. Still, you can do that, right? Kill Cold Hands. Yeah. Everyone in this bubble heals 2. Can be bad. It's not as strong as before, though.
And before you could trigger it off of Corrin. Yeah, you can't trigger it off of Corrin now, right? Because it's only if a unit is destroyed by a melee attack. And then it doesn't work if a unit's destroyed by a ranged attack either.
Yeah.
So
but that's good, right? I mean, the thing with Corrin is great, right? That was just a loophole, right? So that change is good. All the change is good. It's just for me as a main player of Night's Watch, it's a hard pill to swallow. But still, I think the card is still okay. It's if played right, it's still okay. And this bottom effect, this healing off of panic tests, I mean, you can do it. It won't make a huge difference.
It's just a dauntless attachment, basically. Which,
So Now's Watch is ended is not as strong as before.
Yeah,
it's a thing you pick up and you just say just throw it out there. Let's see what it does, right? I don't care. So that's on the cards. So again, I have to say, bringing in those 4 things: the triggers, the panic test, losing it off of panic tests, and the slight, let's be diplomatic about it, the slight nerf on each card was, in my book, a little bit too big for one patch. And I hope they take another look throughout the season. If they do something like you lose only one vow when failing a panic test, or you can only attach 2 and we lose the panic test again, or whatever, to make it a little bit like before. I think that would be a better balance. But we have to see, right? It's 2 days after the patch. We have to see long term. But that's my gut feeling. That's what I see as a main Night's Watch player.
Yeah, because when you look across the board here and you look at all the attach effects on their own, these attach effects, when they have this string attached that if you fail a panic test you lose them, these effects are not strong enough to justify, in my opinion, they're not strong enough to justify existing as a tactics card and then having this caveat that you'll lose it from a panic test. So I think if adding this ability to lose it, they either need to increase the power level of that effect that it gives them, or like you said, do something where they can't. You can only lose one to a panic test, or or you can only
your
attach 2
opponent
valves
chooses
to a unit, or
something, right? But not like failing this one panic test and lose 3 valves, 2 valves. It's just
because
yeah.
If you look at the deck, there's only going to be a few of these cards that you're really going to want to hang on to use for the top effect, and the other ones you're going to just cycle them onto your units, right? And then if they keep the vow, great. If they don't keep the vow, fine. I mean, even like his watch has ended, are you going to hang on to that card in anticipation of when one of your units is going to die? Probably not. If you get it into your hand at the right time, when you know one of your units is about to die, then it's good. But otherwise, you're just going to throw it out there as a dauntless attachment, and then it's just it's sad. Night's Watch players are sad. I as someone who has never had any sympathy for Night's Watch players, even I will sympathize for them a little bit right now.
Truly. It's a totally different world now for Night's Watch players, but again, as I said in the beginning, it was needed. Totally fine that it happened. I just think we need to take a deeper look now in the ongoing season if this wasn't too much. Maybe I think a Night's Watch, like a big Night's Watch problem was that they are really strong in the lower beginner level, mid-tier level. Night's Watch dominates, right? Because like back in the day, because it there was no drawback. There was a no-brainer tactics deck which you could just throw out, and there was always a benefit. You did not have to think once about is this card now playable or not? Do I have to do that? So I really appreciate the triggers that you have to now. You need tactic, you need forecast, you need to forecast. Does the unit need it later, or do I need the effect now? I really appreciate the deck now in terms of to play it smart, to play it with more skill, to play it with more intelligence, right? I really appreciate that. I just think also thematically, you're always talking about you're so now I'm stepping on the soapbox, right? You have those brothers always giving those vows, and I always imagine those people talking their vows to the werewolf tree, and you attach shields, you attach swords, and those units are basically telling their vows. Just talking thematically, now a lot of times you will do the instant effect. The vow is just gone, and if you play shields and it's there, then you lose it next round. It's not there anymore. So I just from a thematic standpoint, I also do not like really what happens here, but just from a soapbox or like thematic lore perspective, I think they pulled something away from the Night's Watch, what was exclusive to them, what was their thing, and now it's a little bit gone, right? So we have to take a deeper look in season 4, how it develops. Maybe we can take just 2 sentences or 3 on those other changes of the commander tactics text. I will leave out tempered by duty, but I want to say 2 things on the one on For the Watch and the other one on Night Gatherers. Both cards also got this panic test rule. For the Watch got also the 2 triggers. So let's start with For the Watch. For the Watch used to be a really strong card, which was a centerpiece of why taking John Commander, because you were able to pull the card, play at start of any turn, and then use an NCU, go to swords, free charge with charge reroll. So so it came unexpected, or for beginners it came unexpected. For veterans, you were prepared, but now you have to telegraph it, because now every John Commander player will try to do the For the Watch, the end of game effect. But now you have to do it when this unit activates. That means you have to do it before, so your opponent knows what's coming. So that's the bad thing about this card. You're broadcasting what you will do next round, or the next time you leave the horses open. So
and then you make that unit a target for whatever panic effects your opponent has.
Yeah, again, so that card, as the other cards, with the panic test, it got a big nerf. But let's see. I played it yesterday. It was still okay, right? I still charged twice of the horses, even though because he won't block horses, especially in round 4, 5, 6. He won't block horses because we will need swords, we will need bags, we will, So the horses tend to be open at the later game. So you can still use it. It's just not as strong anymore, which does not mean it's not good. I'm just saying way worse now. So in Night Gatherers, the only thing I do not like about Night Gatherers is it basically stayed the same, except this panic test role. The only thing I do not like about it is that it also lost this morale test, because it used to do the morale test on Geor's unit, or you could have played it on Geor's unit, which would have healed off of that morale test. So there was a synergy between his cards, or between Night Gatherers and his unit, and this one is gone. And I really do not know why. There's in my book, there's no reason why.
In season 3, they built up these synergies. In season 3, they built up these synergies with Jor and his tactics cards, and now it's like they just destroyed it. I don't know. I think they could have done something else to maintain some of that synergy. But
yeah. So guys, that's it. That's on the Night's Watch. One final sentence maybe on list building. Please, when you build your armies, try the 8 and 9 activation lists and try to learn them, because I think this is the route we have to head now. Using Ghost, using Cold Hands, using Watch Marshal Cold Hands. I think this is the way to go now. Definitely try that. Because I see a totally different play style now, and the Vanguard will be an even more important unit in the future. And try out Dennis Melister. That's also an NCU which is highly needed now for each and every list. If you do not play the Sam Gilly, try Dennis. All right. I can only say my watch begins now. So I will have to practice, because our big tournament is in 8 days. So I will definitely have to practice my Night's Watch skills again. Maybe I'm coming in last. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what happens. But I'm trying.
At least you're loyal. You're loyal to the watch.
I'm loyal. Yeah, I will.
You'll go down with them.
I will not lose the black. All right. So I would say until next time. Auf Wiedersehen.
And goodbye.
Come for the hits and stay for the crits.